Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us today here at ColdJet for our webinar. Today is all about contracting and everything contracting. I'm Mike Henderson. I'll be your host today, and I'm thrilled to be here with you. For those of you who know me, my deepest apologies. And for those of you who don't know me, that's a picture of me back 30. I've been here over 31 years, and I that was my first week here, March of 1994. I spent 30 years on the road doing installations, demonstrations, and consultations, and various manufacturing plants, and a lot worked with a lot of contractors, and I set up a lot of contractors and put a lot of people in business, and I'm happy to share that information with you today. All right, let's get going. All right, so I'm broadcasting live from our global headquarters right there in Loveland, Ohio. If you don't know where that is, that's right outside of Cincinnati. This is our it's our world-class manufacturing plant and warehouse and storage facility. We also have bricks and mortar in Canada, Mexico, Belgium, Denmark, Germany, Poland, Spain, China, Japan, and Rancho Cucamonga, California. We A little bit about us. We have 250 global patents here, and we it's unusual. We spend about 7% of our income on research and development. We've spent 40 years. We've on this thing. We've put 25,000 of these things in the field. And every year we continue to improve this technology so that it can be used for contracting, and so that it would be reliable and useful and not break down on you. Okay, so anyway, we make the greatest stuff in the world. I'm going to talk about for those of you that you don't know, I'm going to go through the mechanics of dry ice cleaning and why it works and stuff like that quickly. All right, so what is dry ice? Dry ice is just CO2. The CO2 is out here in the air. We're exhaling it. It comes off the volcano. It comes off the ocean. You don't need to be afraid of CO2. Everybody knows dry ice is very cold. It's 109 degrees below zero. Dry ice sublimates from a solid to a gas, which leaves no secondary waste stream. There's no water, there's no residue, there's no chemicals left behind. Dry ice cleaning is safe for hundreds of applications, especially the difficult ones: food processing, nuclear, semiconductors, pharmaceuticals. All these guys use dry ice to clean their equipment and processes. The greatest part of this is all the dry ice in the world is made from a recycled byproduct, and here's how that works. So if you are distilling grains to make spirits, alcohol, ethanol, ammonia, all right, basically it's made in a great big moonshine still. So there's a solid runoff of pure CO2. You see the cow there. There's also a movement to collect what they call bio waste, which is and farm waste and composting and stuff like that. All puts off methane and CO2. Okay. And what normally happens is one of the big industrial gas companies of the world, the air gases and Praxairs, will capture that what would be vented, capture that CO2, and then they process it and cleanse it, and then they pressurize it. And when you pressurize CO2, it then becomes LCO2, or liquid CO2, so that it can be stored and transported to a facility where they're going to make dry ice out of it. Okay. And that's what this looks like. Okay. So here's a guy. He's at his dry ice manufacturing plant. He's received a silo full of LCO2. It's piped over to the ColdJet pelletizer. Now, we make the dry ice blasting equipment, but we also make the world's best dry ice production equipment, and that we call it a pelletizer. So that's how I'm going to refer to it. So inside that box is a hydraulic pump and electricity and a ram and piston, and so you've got the ram and piston there, and then it's right in front of a stainless steel barrel. And when we pump the LCO2 into that barrel and it experiences an atmospheric pressure change, it flashes into a snow. And so you get a snowstorm working in there. And when it fills up, that activates the piston and it shoves the snow into a cake and then through an extrusion die. Okay. We call it a spaghetti die because when it comes out, it looks like spaghetti. And then when it falls into the storage container, it's brittle. So it breaks into more uniform size 3mm pieces of dry ice. This is important because there's a lot of discussion about global warming and CO2 levels in the air and stuff like that. The California Air Resources Board, which is the toughest governing agency on greenhouse gases and related issues, states, and I'm going to read it to you, due to the fact that dry ice is a recycled CO2, it will not contribute to your greenhouse gas score. In the calculation of carbon footprint, CO2 is measured at the producer level. Okay, so it's not counted twice. So the ethanol plant pays for the carbon footprint. And the reason it's important to know this, because when you go out to the manufacturing plant, there's somebody there that's going to ask you about it. And the truth is, there's no need to worry about it. We are not adding extra CO2 to the world. Okay, how does dry ice blasting work? Okay, when you propel the pellets out of the nozzle out to the target, three things happen. First, there's kinetic energy. That pellet is coming out at 900 feet per second, so there's a certain amount of scrubbing action. Now, it's not enough kinetic energy to abrade metals. It's rather gentle, and we'll talk more about that. So, kinetic energy, scrubbing action. Secondly, there is thermal shock. Okay, that's when the contaminant becomes cold faster than the substrate that it's stuck to. So it fractures and releases its bond and it falls onto the floor so that you can sweep it up or vacuum it up. Okay. Last, that pellet, when we extrude it, there's a great deal of energy in that pellet. And when you force its sublimation through velocity, it expands 800 times. So the gas expansion causes a lifting effect to the contaminant. It's kind of like if you've ever shoveled a driveway. Once you get up underneath it, it starts to lift up, okay? So let's recap. Kinetic energy, thermal shock, gas expansion. Lastly, what happens is it all sublimates back to a gas. You never even see the pellets, except for when you load them in the machine. All you see coming out there is that vapor path like you see in the graphic there. So there's no pellets bouncing around and getting onto the operator. We call this thing blasting because it gives you the mental picture of, a hopper system, compressed air, gun and nozzle with media, okay? But blasting by definition refers to the abrasion of metal, which is done when you need to paint a bridge. You have to abrade that metal so that the new paint will cleat onto it, okay? That's blasting. What we're really doing is just cleaning, all right? According to the Mohs hardness scale, not that Mo. All right, this is Frederick Mohs. Frederick Mohs wanted to put a score to different aggregates to help understand what you're going to get when you throw it at a surface. All right, so talc is a number 1, diamond is a 10, dry ice is a 1.5. Your fingernail is a 2.5. So my point is, yes, we call this blasting, but it's not blasting. We're not abrading. And that's what customers love about this thing. We are able to clean their delicate production lines without getting too aggressive with it. Okay, there are terms that we use, and I'm going to just kind of tell you what they are so we're on the same sheet of music as we go through this. If I refer to the blaster, that is the mechanism that holds the hopper, the agitation devices that are attached to it, and the feed mechanism and the controls and everything that you feed the dry ice into. Okay. Um, just while it's sitting there, you can see our hopper has a lot of stuff attached to it. What makes this expensive is that the dry ice pellets don't flow very well. They're a desiccant and they're cold, so they draw in moisture and then they begin to stick together. So you have to have a hopper system that agitates the ice and gets it moving slowly. Otherwise, you're going to get hung up when you're out there trying to make money. Okay. In our world, there is performance blasting, which refers to high flow blasting, high volume, high flow, big nozzle, uh, high production. You can see that guy right there is getting like a 2-3 inch swath production out of his equipment there. And he's probably using a big 3 millimeter pellet, the most aggressive you can go. Okay. And then there's what we call precision blasting, and that refers to low flow, small gun, small nozzle, detailing type equipment. On a high flow machine, I can turn that thing up and cut a 2x4 in half. On precision blasting, I can dial it down and take the M off of an M&M. But you see this guy's doing the underside of this car. There's all kinds of different materials under there. And so you want to, be able to start in the basement and work your way up because we don't want to damage the car. We want to preserve the car, right? And then we refer to our smart blasters. And our smart blasters are um, uh, systems that you can set parameters. Okay, so the parameters that give you different outcomes are the pounds per minute, like he's doing right now. Okay, then he's going to go and set the particle size. Okay, from 3 millimeter down to 0.03 millimeter, and then he's going to set the pressure. Okay, so if you're going to clean this motor or control panel out here, we like to clean it on these parameters because you don't want the operator to overdo it. You don't want him to underdo it either. All right. So we set recipes for different applications with this machine. It also gathers data. So it knows that Charlie out here is running the machine. It knows that he's running for exactly this much trigger time and it has consumed exactly this much ice. And then it will send a report to the supervisor. And so that's a supervisory thing. If Charlie cleaned that thing with 40 pounds one day and 400 pounds the next day, well, we've got to understand that. Okay. Also, in the report sometimes is important if you're working in sensitive areas, aerospace, pharma, semiconductors. If something catastrophic happens down the road, someone's coming back to look in that file, and you can say, yeah, we cleaned it on this date, and Charlie did it, and we use this much dry ice. It also has some internal sensors. So if it starts to feel sick for some, for instance, if it feels itself pulling a funny amperage on a drive motor or one of the circuit boards is sparking funny, it will alert you. It'll send you a note. Hey, you got to look at this thing. It needs attention. And you can push the button and bring up a health screen and look at the important parts of it. And because it has IoT in it, you can get us online and we can look at it with you and determine what we're going to do. If we need to dispatch a service tech, or do we just need to ship a part out? But this can all be done before it becomes catastrophic and fails completely, which is what we don't want, especially if we're out in the middle of the Toyota plant trying to earn a living, right? Okay. When we refer to accessories, those are all the things that are attached to the machine. Different accessories, it's all modular. So you can put different accessories on there to get different outcomes, all right? So nozzles, a lot of people refer to the nozzles as wands or tips. That's a kind of a power washing thing. Our nozzles, we just call them nozzles. The gun, the applicator, is the thing that holds the nozzle and triggers the machine to fire, okay? And then there's hoses, okay? And that big thing on the left there is an aftercooler, which we're going to talk more about. And that pot right there that says Eco 2 150, that is a media pot. And what we've done is we've developed this media pot so that you can attach it to your cold jet. If you have a super tough application, you can trickle in a little media to get these hardcore contaminants to remove. And compressed air. Okay, the compressed air is always confusing to a lot of people. Um, this thing requires a lot of compressed air. Okay, so when I refer to plant air on the far left there with in the blue, those are compressors that are installed at the manufacturing plant for their needs. All right. They already have plenty of air. They already have it treated, and they have already plumbed it all through the plant. So if you're a service provider and you're working out at the Honda plant, they've already got air. You simply just need to plumb onto it, and we'll show you how to do that. If you're doing mobile work, of course, you need to buy or rent one of these diesel compressors on a trailer and take it with you. And we're going to talk more about that too. When we refer to shop air, okay, this is what you're going to need to put in your shop if you're a repair shop or a diesel or detail shop or a auto restoration shop. This machine, again, the volume is more important than the pressure, and I'm going to say that more than once. Does not going to work on your 80-gallon tank with the little motor on top, okay? Or even if you have one of those big horizontal tanks with the reciprocating pistons, not enough air. You're going to drain that tank right away. This thing is a 35-horse rotary screw with air treatment, all right, and a tank. The reason we like that one is because it runs on single phase electric. A lot of them are 2 and 3 phase electric, huge energy draws that you don't even have in your building. You'd have to call the electric company to come and wire it up for you. But that thing is readily available on the market. Single phase, 35 horse. Yes, they're expensive. There's really no two ways to do it if you want to do it right. This is what a typical setup looks like. You've got your air compressor running into the aftercooler, and then going into the blast machine, and you've got a box of ice there that you scoop out of and scoop into your machine. So here's kind of, the next question everybody asks me is, well, gosh, what machine do we buy? Okay. Well, we have entry-level machines, and they go on up. Now, the entry-level machines, that one on the far left, is popular with the hobbyist. Yes, there are people that have warehouses full of Ferraris and Porsches, and they want to clean their own machine. Also, this is very popular in the detail shop. You wheel it around the garage. It's not very big. It doesn't take up a lot of room, and it works very well on that compressor we just talked about. And it'll do everything you want it to do. You can dial it down to do light work, and you can crank it up and do the undercarriage, okay? If you are a contractor that's going out into steel mills and oil fields, and you have gorillas working for you, well, then now we're talking about our Aero series, which is the one in the middle there. That's an Aero 40. That's a 40-pound hopper. It has a big brother, the 80-pound hopper. Okay, has a whole different level of construction. Okay, it has a welded steel frame, 18-gauge stainless, multiple agitation on the hopper, a great big motor in it, which gives you years of duty cycle, and the hoses are bigger and badder and tougher. This is a machine that will last you for 10 years. And honest to God, I lost one of these going off the back of my pickup truck down the freeway once, and I picked it up and used it. It's tough, all right? And then we're talking about our smart equipment, okay? That's if you're doing the kind of work that you need to capture data and stuff like that, and you need IoT, that's what you buy, all right? They get more expensive as you go along. We are not the low-cost provider on these. Why would you buy a cold jet and spend the extra money when there are machines on the internet that are way cheaper? Well, because for the same reason you wouldn't buy a 10-inch electric chainsaw to start a tree trimming business. You're going to buy this thing to earn a living with. These things are, this is the best thing that you can buy to start a business with, and you want it to last you a number of years and not be problematic and not hang up out in the middle of your job, this is what you buy. There's no two ways to look at it. What kind of accessories do I need to go with this machine? Okay, well, you're going to need a variety of nozzles, all right? No, you don't need to buy every nozzle that we have. We have hundreds of applications in 52 industries. They all do something different. You need about 4 or 5 nozzles, all right? I always suggest that you buy one general purpose high aggression nozzle. You want one that has some width to it, okay? You want one shorty so you can get in tight spots. And then something with an angle so you can hook around or up. You understand that. You want to buy an extra hose or two. It comes with one 20-foot section of blast hose. And then you can link them together. So oftentimes you may have to go 100 feet straight up. So you're going to need 5 sections of hose. Are you going to do that all the time? I don't know. Probably not. But it does help to have extra sections of hose. Hey, you might have a hose fail. Someone runs over it with a forklift, you're over. So buy a couple of hoses. And I always think it's important to have a spare gun. Now, these guns are made very well, and we do a lot of drop testing here. But it does have electronics and switches and stuff in it. Your gun goes down, you go down. It's just like having a spare tire. It's good to have an extra gun. Okay? Okay, to address the compressor situation again. All right, your air needs are going to change from job to job. So if you're a mold and fire guy and you're up in an attic doing a fire job, you only need to have one of these 185 diesels. It's just down in the driveway. You're just going right up here, okay? If you are going into a building 100 yards and the compressor needs to set outside, and then you're going 100 feet straight up, you are going to lose pressure as you run your linear length of hose. So you need to have volume of air to make up for that pressure loss. All right. Again, the volume is more important than the pressure. Because why? Because you can't put a garden hose into a fire hose and get the same result. So you're going to have to rent one of these 375 or 400 CFM compressors. Pardon me. The next question I get is, well, do I rent this thing or should I buy it? I just like to buy stuff. Well, you can buy it. By all means, go buy it. But think about this. When you pull the trigger on this thing, that thing throttles up to full speed and runs all day long. All right? And you're going to do that all day for a couple of days, and it's a diesel engine, and they break. All right? If you're out in the middle of nowhere, and oftentimes you are, and your compressor goes down, and maybe you're working on the weekend, trying to find a diesel mechanic to come out and fix that compressor you bought is going to be tough. It's like calling a plumber. All right? You call the tool rental, they bring you a brand new one. All right? Also, like I said, your needs are going to change from job to job. So I always say at least rent one for a while until you figure out what your niche is going to be and what size compressor is going to best fit your needs. If you're always doing firework, you don't need a great big expensive compressor. But also you don't want to underdo it. So rent for a while until you get a feel for it. That's my advice. All right. Aftercooler. You must have the aftercooler. The reason for it is that dry ice has two enemies, hot and wet. The air quality coming off that compressor is hot and wet. All right. So they're inside that mechanism. There's a coalescing air filter that takes off the excess moisture. But also there's a heat exchanger fan, excuse me, on a variable speed that cools the air down. And why is that important? Well, if you're sending hot air right into that blast unit, then you're trickling pellets in there that are 110 below, 109 below. You're creating a dew point reaction. So now you're making water. All right. So, and that's what we don't want. All right. So you got to take off the water and you got to cool it down. And that's what that does. Now, you can buy a dryer. There's all kinds of dryers and stuff, but they're big and heavy and hard to move around and they require some electricity and stuff. It is a better choice, but these are just as good and will get you through the day. And without it, you're going to have hiccups. Oh, oh, look, the guys I work with. See, that's me on there. All right. Surprise. Thanks, guys. All right. The next question is, how should I mobilize this thing? All right. And a lot of guys go, well, this is going to be great. I got a trailer out back I haven't used, and that's what I'm going to do because it sounds easy. I want to hook up my dually and take off with it. Well, keep in mind, you're going to have to skid mount this compressor inside that trailer. It takes up a lot of space. You got to wiggle around it, Also, keep in mind where you are going. If you got a job 200 miles away and it's out in the country somewhere, you may have to take all your ice for the week with you. All right. So you're going to use 1,000 pounds a day. You got 6 days of work. That's 12,000 pounds I'm sorry, 6,000 pounds of dry ice or 12 500-pound boxes. You're never going to get that all in your trailer. Okay. You can get it on that truck plus all your equipment. Also keep in mind when you get where you're going, there may not be a forklift. All right. So this thing's got a lift gate on it. Okay. Easy. It also has a hitch. You can pull your compressor with it. All right. I think this is the best solution. Now, oftentimes people want to use this kind of a van, which they work great. They have great tow capacity. You can put a lot of weight in them, but there's not a lot of space. You're never going to get 12 500-pound boxes of dry ice in that thing. The other thing we've discovered, because we did this too, you've got a bunch of dry ice in the back and it's sublimating as you're rolling down the road and it's going to fill up the van and you're sitting in it. Okay. So you've got to install a ventilation system in it. Cool air in, CO2 out. Okay. It's not hard to do, but you got to keep in mind because someone's going to drive that thing around and it's going to fill up with CO2. If a box truck, it's all in the back, you roll the door up, it all rolls out. Where am I going to buy all this dry ice? Well, there's a lot of dry ice out there. There's more of it than you think. There's a number of places you can go. You can just go to a industrial supply, gas supplier, Airgas, Praxair, Linde, one of these guys. You can also call one of many welders supply houses. So Holston Gases, Sutton Garden is a real good one. And then there are independent dry ice companies like CK Supply. These guys, all they do is receive CO2 and turn it into dry ice and deliver it out to the world. But the sales manager in your area and the service tech in your area, we know everybody in the business. They will introduce you to the right guys and help you understand how to buy it and help you understand how to negotiate the price. Should I make my own dry ice? Well, sure, if you want to. Now, making dry ice is expensive. The small machine is $50,000. Plus, you're going to have to install one of these great big 40-ton LCO2 storage vessels. Then the piping to bring it over is like 200 an inch, okay? Most people... That's not the caveat. The caveat is you won't be able to buy the liquid supply cheaper than the guys that make it for a living. So you're not going to be able to make it cheaper than you could buy it anyway for a while, unless you're using a great deal of it and then you get the buying power. Now, I know guys that make their own dry ice because they have to have it when they need it and they can't wait for the couple of days for the dry ice company to make it. All right. Well, guess what happens? People find out they have a dry ice machine. They do a little advertising. Now they're in the dry ice delivery business, which is okay. It's another great revenue stream. If you're going to do that, then you may as well buy a couple of cold jet machines to put out on rent. This is a great thing because you, as a contractor, you're going to go in here and bid this job at $50,000. They may sticker shock, and you can say, why don't you do it yourself? I'll rent you the equipment. I'll train your people. I'll even deliver all the dry ice out here. So while you're off doing your contract work, you've got machines and they're making you money. It's a very good model. But in the beginning, when you're getting your feet wet, buy the dry ice, learn how to do it. Okay? Why do companies like dry ice blasting? Well, these manufacturing plants, they have expensive problems. And, you know, when they shut their Twinkie line down or their dog food line down, they might be losing $50,000 a minute. Okay, so it eliminates shutdowns and disassembly and all the preparation work that it takes for traditional cleaning. It eliminates waste streams. Okay, waste streams like, well, water, chemicals, foaming agents, but it gets deeper than that. Scrub bushes, Scotch Brites, rags, squeegees, spray bottles, gloves, Tyvek suits, all that stuff ends up in the landfill. You cold jet it, nothing goes to the landfill except for the initial contaminant, which is going anyway. Also, dry ice cleaning is fast. It makes very quick work out of very dirty situations. The other thing is, the guy that gets to run it is the luckiest guy in the plant. It's nice and cool, it's easy to do, and people are flipping a coin to get to see who runs it next. Like I said, these companies that hire contractors, they have very expensive problems. It's also, in today's world, it's hard enough for them to find staff to run the production line, much less hire a cleaning crew and manage that. Um, you know, it, in the Americas, in the old days, most people didn't clean the manufacturing plant because there was usually a unionized someone who said, well, you're not going to let anybody in here to clean this plant. That's a union job. We'll do it. Of course, they didn't want to do it either. So things just got dirty. It was a culture. And now that Americans have European and Asian customers and maybe management, they aren't going to buy anything from you if your plant is dirty. So there's a big push to do just regular housekeeping. Now, the question I get asked a lot is, well, why don't they just buy their own cold jets? Well, you wouldn't believe this, but these manufacturing plants take their time to buy stuff. It takes sometimes years for us to get them to buy a machine to fix their production problems. For them to spend $50,000 on a cleaning gizmo is difficult. All right. Also, there's safety stuff. Even if they have one already that they're using to clean their welding line or something, there certainly doesn't make sense for them to take it offline and put Jimmy on a lift and go clean the ceiling. They want to hire a crew to show up that looks good. They're safety trained. They already have the gear on. They know how to run it, and they get right to work. That's what they want. Where do you go? Sorry. You go where the money is. The big money is in these big manufacturing plants. Like I said, these guys they shut the plant down. They're losing millions and millions of dollars in production time and stuff like that. And a clean plant is a happy plant. The cleaner it is, the less scrap they have, the less downtime, the less PMs. There's all kinds of just ancillary benefits. But that's where you go. Anybody who's doing food processing, anybody who makes a car part from bumper to bumper, the bottling, brewing, distilling, coffee making, the list goes on and on and on. We have hundreds of applications in nearly as many industries. Okay, and that's where you go. If you are a mold and fire and smoke guy, you're going to do the same thing you would do normally. Okay, except that this makes very quick work out of it. A mold job. Let's say, for instance, you've got a 2,500 square foot structure. It's full of mold. You're going to go, empty it out, gut it to the studs, right? Set up containment. You've got negative air, HEPA filter. Then you get 10 guys with respirators and suits, and now you're scrubbing and sanding and cleaning. All right. Now, The problem is you never get between the board and the joist or around the nails and the nooks and crannies. So you don't really get 100% mold spore removal. That's why you have to biocide and encapsulate. All right. When you cold jet, it makes very quick work out of it. I mean, you're doing 10 square feet a minute, and it gets between the board and the joist, and it gets the nooks and crannies. So you get 100% mold spore removal, eliminating biociding and encapsulating. All right. But the real mother load is that you're taking a 10-day 10-man job and turning it into a 2-day 2-man job. Okay, so you're going to make more money. All right, but there's other stuff. The insurance company is happier. The homeowner gets into his home faster. Okay, same thing with the fire soot. You get soot up in the attic, it makes the whole house stink. You know this, and the normal procedure is to remove the entire roof and build a new roof. Well, you can go up there with a cold jet and cold jet all the soot out of there in an hour. All right, and again, it's the greatest job on site. It's hot up there in the attic. This guy's wearing a respirator and Tyvek suit. Well, the temperature just comes way down. So it gets done. It's thorough and it's comfortable to do. Lots of people are breaking into historical restorations. You see that neighborhood right there. He's cleaning up all that brick. That brick is just dirty from years and years and years of exhaust and road grime and cars driving by and environmental stuff. And those windowsills, the same thing. But also statues, monuments, lighthouses. The list goes on and on and on. There's lots of opportunity to freshen the look of historical buildings and related things. Auto detailing. Well, I love this one because I'm a car guy. I car, bike, and boat guy. You know, having done this for 30 years, usually I'm knee deep in some rendering plant somewhere. So when the car thing came along, I was thrilled. But I have always done my cars with this. I remember years ago, I had an old Wrangler, and in the fall you can sell them to the car dealers because they want them on lot for Christmas. And so I'm shopping this thing around one Saturday. I'm getting offers 7,000, 7,200 or something. And I brought it over here on a Saturday, and I fired up a machine, and I did the engine and engine bays, wheels and wheel wells. I did those plastic trim pieces that go from black to white in the sun, takes them right back to black. Door jambs, seats, yeah, you can do fabric. Pedals, dashboard, shifter boot. Okay. I think all in, I had about 45 minutes in it. And the next offer I got was 10.5. Okay. Now, that was great. All right. But for the detail professional, I mean, if you take the polishing out of the job, just doing the engine bay and the wheels and the wheel wells and stuff like that is like flossing a cat. It's arduous work. And you can maybe do 2 cars a day. Maybe. If I'm right. All right. Now you're doing 5 a day, 6 maybe if you want to stretch it out. That is a remarkable throughput for a guy like that. In the restoration business, well, you know what we're talking about: undercarriages and frames and stuff like that. It makes very quick work. I did a project with a guy. He had a matching numbers GTO judge. Okay. And back in the 70s, they'd taken it to Z-Bart and had it Z-Barted. For those of you who don't know, Z-Bart is this goo they paint underneath the car, and it's supposed to rust-proof it. Well, today's collectors they don't want the Z-Bart on there. They're looking for what they call signatures, where the guy on the manufacturing line put a grease pencil mark or something on it. And it adds to the value of the car. Well, the process to get all the Z-Bart off this car it takes months of chemicals and scraping and manual labor and picking and flossing. It's like flossing a cat, like I said. But I had it all off in 2 hours, bumper to bumper, all the Z-Bart. And I thought the guy was going to kiss me, because now the car is a $130,000 car. All right. And it goes on. Well, and for you mold and fire guys, there's a guy in town here. He's a guy. I already had the equipment because he's doing mold and firework, and so he had the compressor, the aftercooler, and the machine. But he loves cars. The guy's from London. All right, he put a lift in his shop. Well, he's out in the country or various places looking at fire jobs or mold jobs, flood jobs, and he's like, "Hey, what do you got out in the barn there?" And usually it's a tractor or a car or something that needs restored. So this guy, a guy brought him three Porsches. He had a 944, 928, and a 911. He did only undercarriages, engine bays, wheels, and wheel wells. He got 2,000 a car. He had them all done in 6 hours. That's $6,000 he had done in one day. And the guy, the customer was thrilled and wrote a glowing review on his Yelp. So what I'm trying to say is, you're taking arduous work and turning it into easy breezy work that's pleasant to do. All right. What don't you want to get into? Well, we get for some reason, a lot of people call us, they want to do these pool tiles. This is a bad application, and I'll tell you why. A, the, the tile itself, when you start to shoot it, absorbs the cold temperature right away, and it causes the glue to react behind it, and it just pops the tile off. Oftentimes, it breaks it. So it doesn't work. Doing around the house work with this is not a good idea because it's loud. But also, you're never going to clean anybody's gas grill, driveway, gutters. Um, you know, you you want to go for the big money jobs. This kind of work is never going to make you any money. Secondly, people want to get in the restaurant cleaning business. Man, if that worked, we'd done it years and years ago. The reason it doesn't work is because animal fat does not respond well to cold thermal shock. It responds well to heat and steam. You have to melt it off. All right. Yes, I know there's a guy on the internet that's cleaning fryers, and we talked to the guy, and the truth is, this is not the only thing he's doing. He's also using Dawn dishwashing washing liquid and replacing parts. Um, it's not an easy answer to this. Even if it did work, all right, those exhaust hoods, you can hire a guy with a steam machine to come in and do it. He'll be done in 2 hours for $400. All right. You're going to be $500 in dry ice just to arrive, not to mention the compressor rental, the diesel, the labor, and everything. It's not a high dollar job. Paint stripping. I get a call every day. Can you strip paint? Dry ice blasting alone does not strip good, well adhered factory paint. It won't even scratch the paint on my truck. It doesn't take powder coating or two-part epoxy. All right. Now, it will do failing paint. All right. So if you're in a bakery and they've got a ceiling where the paint is flaking off and they want to paint it, well, all they need to do is get the grease, oil, dirt, and failing paint off so that they can apply new paint because it's not a Rolls Royce. All right. Now, we do have that attachment that you can trickle the media into, and that will strip difficult paints. All right. But you have to look at the costs associated with it and stuff like that. And that's something your regional sales manager, can help you with. The next question: how do we know how to bid this job? Okay, your customer is going to ask you to bid it one of three ways. All right, flat rate. Okay, they're going to say, I want to clean that thingamajig over there. How much? And you're going to have to come up with a $5,000. All right, or whatever. Um, and we can show you how to kind of piece together the costs to bid that. We'll talk more about that later. And then there's square footage, and this happens a lot with mold and fire. I want to know how much it is to clean this 10,000 square foot ceiling. The the way you calculate that is, if you're, let's say you're doing fire soot and you're standing on 2 feet and you're right here. It's what I mean is you're not laying on your back or standing on your head or something, so it's easy to reach. You can do about 10 square feet a minute. In that 1 minute's time, we're going to use 3 pounds of dry ice. Let's say hypothetically that the dry ice that you're buying that day is 50 cents a pound. All right. Um, so 3 pounds in 10 square feet at 50 cents a pound is $1.50 per 10 square feet, or 15 cents a square. All right. Then that's your cost to consume ice. Then you add labor, profit margin, and consumables. All right. If you're in the mold and fire business, you know what Exactimate is. It'll go in there and tell you exactly what they're going to pay you. And it's far less than your consumables. It's very high margin work. The last thing is time and materials. Time and materials is generally used when you have a great relationship with your customer and you've already been working there for years and they trust you. So you have an open policy with them and you can present them a bill. Hey, Thursday, we cleaned these 9 forklifts over here and we charge you this much, and they'll pay you. Okay. And that's what that is. Those are those are the 3 basic ways that you present a bill. How much can you charge? Well, most people are charging about $300 an hour. Okay. $300 an hour includes you, or operator, machine, and the dry ice. If you need to add an extra operator, a lot of people require it for safety reasons, then you just add another $100 an hour. Then you bill for every single thing else. Lifts, compressor, diesel, Tyvek suits, gloves, whatever. Charge them for lunch. Consumption rates. All right. The machine does most applications at 3 pounds a minute. Okay. But the operator's not on the trigger an entire hour. Okay. He's on, he's off, he's moving around, he's reassessing, he's moving the machine, stuff like that. So, in addition to that, he's got setup, shutdown, breaks, lunch, moving from here to there. So, an average operator, depending on how strong a back he's got, will run between 100 and 150 pounds an hour. All right. So you want to budget, you're going to use about 800 pounds for an 8-hour shift or 10. Okay. But you want to order 1,000 pounds per shift. That's 2 500-pound totes. They come in 500-pound totes. The reason is it's way more important to have a little too much than not enough. You run out, you're out of luck because they got to go make it and go find it. All right. Having too much is great because there's always this opportunity. Hey, Mr. Customer, I'm going to have extra ice here. Would you like me to clean that over there? Have you ever tried cleaning these motors? I see you've got some dirty exhaust fans over here. You can develop new business. Okay. So also the ice keeps for a week in its tote. So if you've got a job where you're going to run 1,000 pounds a day for the next 6 days, you take all of that ice at once and open the boxes as you go along. And next week, hopefully he's going to bring you 6 new boxes or 10 new boxes and pick up the empties. How do you establish yourself? Well, getting started takes time. I've met people that, they buy their machine, they're off and running and making money right away. Some people take years to get there. If you're an entrepreneur and you don't know anything about industrial cleaning, it may take you some time. But you know how it is if you're an entrepreneur. I mean, my gosh, if you started a lawn mowing business, it might take you 2 years to develop a client base and buy equipment and perfect it and hire the right people, right? Okay. What a lot of people do when they get started is just pick an industry, something that we do, something we have documentation on and can prove, and get good at it. I know one contractor out there. He's been doing it for 20 years. He got real good at printing presses. He didn't know anything about printing presses when he got started. He learned about printing and ink and related items and learned how to clean them. And he gets calls from people all over the world. He goes out and cleans their printing presses. Maybe they're going to prepare them to move them to overseas or something. I got another guy that only works in paper recycling plants. He knows all about the equipment associated with it and where the pain points are and stuff like that. This guy right here, that's a guy that had a fire job. That was an old gymnasium and a school. The other quotes he got, they were going to take 12 months to clean it. He did it in 4 days. He had leftover ice and went and cleaned all the chewing gum out of the bleachers for him. But also, what happens is, you know, you're out here cleaning this printing press, and someone will tap you on the shoulder and go, "Hey, can you clean this over here? Can you clean that these pallet jacks? Can you know?" It just evolves. You start to find all these applications within the plant where you're currently doing work. Oh yeah, here we go again. How to market yourself? Uh, don't do that. All right. What you have to do is, thanks guys. You have to get good at today's marketing tactics. All right. You've got to get a website and make it cool. All right. You got to get a good Google business profile. And that is so that when someone says dry ice blasting service near me, they get you. Okay. You also want to do that Google ads where they pay per click so that you come up higher on the list than other people that are doing it. You got to get real good at social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikToks, all that stuff. When it came around to us, we we kind of laughed at ourselves, and guess what? We got into it. It works beautifully. That's why you're here today. Collect data. Collect every single video, before and after shot. Make case studies. Prove return on investment. And put that all on your website and use it as presentation tools when you go see people. That is the way the people that do well, that's what they're doing. I'm often asked, how many leads are you going to give me? Well, we don't really get those calls. We're a manufacturing plant. So calling us to have something cleaned would be like calling John Deere to have your grass cut. Okay. Now, do we have regional salespeople and service people that are out assessing plants and stuff? Sure. And oftentimes they will make the determination, well, you don't need to buy this thing. You're going to clean this twice a year. You should just hire a contractor. And you may get a call for that. You're going to have to develop your own leads. I tell everybody, if I were selling chainsaws and I sold you one and I sold your brother one and he's cutting down trees and you are not, it is not the saw. This is not something where you buy it and then the phone starts ringing off the hook. You've got to go out and work it just like any other business. Here's what we will give you. We have over 40 years collected every single before and after shot video, case study, ROI report, PowerPoint presentation, and organized it into an amazing database. And we let you use this for free once we make a transaction, of course. And so if you get a call from Frito-Lay and they want to know if you can clean their Ishida weighing system, which you probably don't know what it is, you can go right in there and Google it, search on it, and it'll tell you exactly what it is and how to clean it and why it's important and the ROI behind it. There's all kinds of stuff on cleaning cars. It's an unbelievably well outfitted collection of data. We only ask that you co-brand it. So if you're going to cut and paste your logo onto it, we will ask you to leave our logo in there too. Okay. How am I going to learn to use this? Well, we are going to train you. We are big on training. You're going to be assigned a service person that is in your region. They will come out and see you once a year, no charge. They'll put a PM inspection on your equipment, put a safety sticker on it. If it needs a part or needs some service, he's got it on the truck. And he'll also retrain new personnel if necessary. If for some reason you forget the training, there's a QR code on the machine. You can take a picture of it and watch a whole training video and read the manual from cover to cover. We also have 24-hour support number. You can call here anytime. You have parts available all the time. Initial training you can do at your place. We'll come out to you, or you can come here to ColdJet and get trained. Or if you want to set up your first job, we will come out and set it all up for you and train your people and make sure you're doing it right. And quoting guidelines. We talked about this briefly before. We have collaborated with other successful contractors and put together a spreadsheet where you ask questions, you plug in some answers that you do know, and it'll start to give you here's what it ought to cost to clean that thing. We're going to share that with you. Okay. Please remember, we have every single reason for you to be great at this. We have absolutely no reason for you to fail at this. We don't want you to have a black eye. Your black eye is our black eye. That's why we make the greatest equipment in the world. We don't want that. We want them to be successful just like you do. And that's why you should invest in our equipment. It is the best. It's the most expensive too. And you're going to learn that. But yeah, man, you could go on Amazon right now and buy a $2,800 dry ice cleaner. There's nobody to help you start it. There's no parts. There's nobody to call. You can't return it. These are not lawnmowers. Buy something that you can rely on where you're sure, it's not a new company that's going to go out of business. Okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. You should come and visit us. You're going to invest $50,000 or so in this equipment and you want to learn it. Do yourself a favor. Get in your car and drive here like these people did. Or get on a plane. I'll come down the airport and pick you up. I'll give you a plant tour. We'll hook up the equipment and run it. I'll show you the marketing materials we have available for you. We can go look at that in depth. And you will learn a lot if you come here to ColdJet. We have a world-class facility and we have amazing people here. Okay, so that kind of wraps this up. I'm going to take questions. I see we have some online here. Just give me a sec. Let me wet my whistle. Okay. My first question is for car detailing shop. Initial investment, shop needed, monthly service. Okay, a lot of questions. All right. The initial investment for detailing and stuff like that, our entry level machines somewhere around $17,000. You're going to have to buy an air compressor, okay, and you need a lift and stuff like that. The maintenance on that machine, the entry level machine, does require a replacement part every 500 hours, and I think that's about $600 or $700. The more robust machines are maintenance free. Other monthly expenses, electricity. Those compressors draw electricity, and compressed air is expensive, stuff like that. There really are no monthly expenses. Moving on. What do people charge to run the equipment? Well, it's different for everybody. I mean, like I said, if you charge XYZ to detail a car, you can still charge XYZ to detail a car. You're just going to do 5 today instead of 2. All right. In the case of that guy that was doing the undersides of the Porsches, he could have charged whatever he wanted. He was just, feeling around in the dark. The guy was happy to pay $2,000 a car. So it's all different. It all depends on the how dirty the car is. There are a lot of unanswered questions there. So, but you'll get the hang of it once you kind of get started and get going. What's the expected lifetime of the machine? Well, the entry-level machines don't last as long as the well-built machines, just like anything. We don't know. It all depends on who's running the machine and the kind of abuse it's going to get. But a lot of the equipment I've sold 20 years ago is still out there running. Okay, so our equipment is well made. If you come here and watch how we build them, you'll see. How much is dry ice? Well, it depends on where you are and how far away you are. Dry ice is roughly it's somewhere between 30 and 80 cents a pound. Okay, it's the transportation cost and how far away you are from the dry ice source. That causes it to vary, but you can use like 40 cents a pound, 50 cents a pound for budgeting. What PP is needed? Okay, well, if you look at our manual, it says wear everything known to man. But really, all you need are safety glasses, okay, earplugs. It's loud. It's about 118 dB at the operator's ear, and cotton gloves. You do not need to go buy a set of gloves that come up to your elbows that you use for welding or something. Now, OSHA, as far as the noise goes, asks that if you're going to use it for 8 hours, meaning the 8 hour OSHA work reg is to wear plugs and muffs. You got to double up. Okay, good. What kind of cleanup do I have after a dry ice blasting project? Well, it depends on what you're cleaning. In the case of that GTO we did, uh, the the old Z-bar came off in great big pieces. We just shoveled it up and put it into a 5 gallon bucket and threw it away. Um, if you're cleaning wet stuff, well, you might want to drop the area because you're going to do squeegeeing. You're going to keep it all moving in one direction. It's the cleanup is minimal because you're not adding a whole secondary level of cleaning. All right. So if anything, this is the least cleanup of any other competitive technology or method. Do I need to set up containment? Sure. Depends on your situation. If you're cleaning an oven in someone's food plant and it's got allergens on it and you don't want the allergens to get on the oven next to it, then yes, you have to set up containment. In the car business, if you've got if you got a shop full of fancy cars, yeah, the dirt coming off there is going to end up on that car. So what a lot of people do is just take some VisiQueen and masking tape and tape a skirt around the car, and that way everything will fall on the ground. So, do you need a containment if you're out in an oil field? No. Um, just gonna go wherever. But it's a case by case basis. But yes, you should become knowledgeable about containment. I have been to Poland, cold jet. I have been to Poland, cold jet. Great people and growing. Europe should be growing tremendously. What is going to be the difference in support for Europe? Well, as far as I know, we have, I should have put the map up. We have service all over Europe, as many as we do here. We have sales support in every corner of the globe. Can you provide a recording of this webinar for the future? Yes, if you've registered for this, you are going to automatically receive a recording of this webinar. Could you use this for de-icing aircraft? I've heard that does work. I don't think it's economical. De-icing, they've already got that all set up. They're out there spraying glycol on the wings and stuff, and it's easy. Yes, I'm told that it has been tried. It does work. I don't think the math works out. Would you say an ice rocket is very suitable for most auto repair shops and car restoration garages? Yes, it is a great machine for just that. Now, some people just like to buy the fancier equipment. If you do, by all means, the more money you spend, you're going to get a more featured machine that's going to give you a longer life cycle. But yes, honest to God, I detail my car with an ice rocket. It works great. Apart from one place in the UK that I've seen that gives a certification course, supposedly there is a place in North America or Canada that can cert course, or is that not something yet? The insurance broker I'm in touch with was asking, but I'm told there's not okay. There's no certification needed to run this thing. There's no certification to run a power washer either. However, if you want to get trained by us, we have the software. We can print you out a certificate that John Doe has been certified to run and operate and train on this XYZ equipment. If you would like to have something like that, that's no skin off our back. We'd be happy to do that for you. Where do I get marketing materials? We will give you marketing materials once we have a transaction. We have lots of them. Do they have single phase compressors that have high enough CFM? Yes. The one that I pointed out, the Shop Air, 35 horse screw drive, single phase electric. Um, that machine is made in Dayton, and that particular guy, um, if you buy a cold jet and set it up with him and take a video of the cold jet and his compressor and post it on your social media, he will send you a rebate. So yeah, we can help you find that kind of air. How much does it cost to overall start this business? What? Well, that's a big question. It depends on what you're trying to do and what your goals are and stuff like that. You could get into this for as little as $30,000. You could spend as much as $100,000. Um, it depends on your goals, and that's really a conversation for you and the regional sales manager. What compressor do you recommend? Again, we talked when we talked about it. The brand of compressor doesn't affect us, or it's not going to affect you. The compressor needs are going to change from job to job. Okay. What machine would you recommend for historic renovations, brick cleaning, etc.? Any one of these will do what you want it to do. Okay. As you spend more money, you get a machine that has a more sturdy construction. Um, if you're in the mold and fire business, you should buy one of those Aero 40s or up. Um, you're going to need this thing for 10 years, and you want it to be able to do a variety of applications. But any one of them will do brick. As you spend more money, you get a better machine. Do you have any formulas to help calculate the volume of air needed on a per job basis? The air, no. No, we don't have a calculation for that. You need as much air as you can get. Most jobs are done at 130 CFM. If you need to go long or up high, you need to fortify that with more air volume. Okay. This is our regional people can help you set all that up. Said no to restaurants, food trucks because the steam cleaner do it faster, cheaper. What about a hospital? Well, it depends on what you're cleaning. Remember, this thing is 118 dB. I was in the what's the hospital in Miami? The county hospital. Well, the hospital has mechanical rooms all throughout the hospital. And on the other side of that mechanical room, someone is laying in a bed sick. This thing's 118 dB. Also, you've got a compressor 4, 5, 6 floors down on the sidewalk that's running. I don't know if this is a great thing for hospitals. Now, if you can quiet it down and find some applications in there, sure, let's try it. But there are some roadblocks. Do your machines require grounding? Okay, if you are sending pellets through a hose at high velocity, you are stripping electrons. All right, so yes, you're creating electricity and static. Now, the gun and the nozzle has a control cable that goes back through the machine, and the machine is plugged into the wall, so it's grounded back to the earth. All right? Now, if what you're cleaning is not grounded, and most things are, but for example, the other day I was cleaning a big stamping die, and it was up on 2x4s or 4x4s, so it was isolated. And the target will gather static and find you as the ground, and it'll get you right in the belt buckle, if you know what I mean. All right. But there's a ground strap that comes from the machine. Now you simply attach it to the target, and that creates a bonding circuit, eliminating the static. Yes, we know how to deal with that. Can you please explain about animal fat and dry ice cleaning? Does it work or partially? I don't, in my experience, having tried it many, many, many times, when you get animal fat cold, it just gets stiff and moves over here. It doesn't run off. I don't think it works. It does not work. I've tried it. I wish it did. If it did, we'd all be rich. Type of work on oil field. Okay, out there in the oil fields, there's a lot of equipment, pumps, fracking devices, all that stuff. It gets hot, so they have heat exchangers that cool everything down. All right. Well, they're out there in a field, soil gets sucked up in this thing, and now the thing's not working. Now everything's overheating. Okay. You could take your cold jet over and clean the dirt out of those fins and fans, and it will come right back down to normal. Normally, what they do is shut everything down, take the whole thing out, throw it over there, throw it away, and replace it with a new one. Also, there's lots of dirty stuff in the oil field, pumps and motors and trucks and stuff, all clean well with dry ice. Does an aftercooler 100% eliminate all freeze ups? We have been operating without one for years. We are in a dry climate, but on rainy, humid days, we tend to freeze up the nozzle where the hose meets the blaster. Well, okay. I can't speak to every single weather and humidity situation. If you've been getting by without it, then knock yourself out. But it's not really good for the machine. You've got dirt and water and stuff going into the feeder mechanism. You're going to end up with a wear problem. But it always makes it better. If the pellets will travel faster and harder in dry, clean air than they will in heavy, wet, moist air. Yes, if your nozzle is dripping wet and you're sending pellets through it, it's going to get freezy and frosty. But that's not going to affect the way the pellet travels through. If it's you got a frosty nozzle, that's not necessarily a freeze up. Okay. As someone who lives in a rural community, I was really hoping to target the old filthy oven cooktops. I called to my obsessive tendencies. Since this isn't a feasible launch market, what would you recommend for a launch? While my husband has worked in the oil and gas industry, I work in the business office of a hospital. I will be a primary operator in the beginning, as he will remain in his role. And he's not a networker. Do you have connections with mentorship in my situation? Okay, sure. Well, yes, like I said, you should find something that interests you. If printing interests you, get in the printing business. If there's if you're into food, I mean, there's a lot of food processing going on out there. You learn that. Yes, we will mentor you. We have regional salespeople who've done just like me. They've been done many cleaning applications, trial and error. And I mean, we can't hold your hand through the rest of your career, but yes, we're here to answer your questions and point you in the right direction. We want you to be good at this. We have no reason for you to fail, remember? Where do I get the Cold Jet app? I don't know if there is a Cold Jet app. Okay. Does Cold Jet sell refurbished equipment? Is there any type of warranty with refurbished equipment? We do get them, but they're few and far between. People that buy them tend to hang on to them for a long time. And when we do get them, they don't last long. I mean, they go right out the door. So if you are someone who likes a deal and you want to buy something refurbished, you're going to wait a while. Is there a higher level rocket? I'd like something small. Okay, I think what you're asking me is there a higher end level ice rocket? The ice rocket is the ice rocket. A little better one is the Aero 40, and it's not that big, much bigger in footprint. Okay, it just has a more thorough construction and feed mechanism. What CFM and PSI needed for cleaning asphalt trucks? Asphalt is tough. If you want to do it right and you want to do it pretty fast, you should get a 375H. That is something that's available at the tool rental, and that is going to give you about 130 PSI at the nozzle. Good question. Can you easily HDPE? That's an acronym. Hey. When you face equipment failure on a job, how do you address your clients and how would you proceed? I don't know. Again, we're not contractors. We're equipment manufacturers. If you're having equipment failure on the job, you've got a lot of explaining to do. The trick is to buy a machine that doesn't fail and make sure it's in good shape when you go there. What did someone tell me yesterday? Failure to prepare is preparing to fail. Okay. Um, uh, well, this is like kayaks or garbage bins. I don't know. Under, I don't understand. Oh, I don't think there's any money in cleaning kayaks or garbage bins. Can this usually knock thin coats of concrete for cleaning concrete trucks? I haven't found that to be good. There's that some of it comes off, most of it sticks. I don't think that's a great application. Now, if you wanted to put mixed media on there, you could probably get it off, but you're probably going to take the paint off as well, which they don't want. Please advise for interior enclosed spaces, proper ventilation, proper pressure breathing air, CO2. That is a huge question that I can't cover in just a quick answer. There are guidelines, and we have them, and we can show you the guidelines. You punch in the cubic square foot of the space, and we will show you how to ventilate it and how much makeup air you have to do. Just contract your regional sales manager, and we can talk you through it. How does it work on boat bottoms? Pretty good. Takes algae and stuff off, and you can even take the anti-fouling paint off if you want to. You probably wanted to go mixed media on that, but yeah, it does work. Any tips on how to make efficient use of high value from dry ice? Any tips on how to make efficient use and high value from dry ice? I don't understand the question. If you're asking me how to get the most out of your consumption rate, make sure you set it up right, make sure your aftercooler is right, make sure you have good training. That's the best way to do it. That looks like that's my last question. I'm going to say goodbye to you. I was really thrilled that you guys joined us today. My other job here is I answer the phone. If you call in here, there's a good chance you're going to get me, and I'm happy to talk through anything with you. Once again, thank you. I'm going to sign off. Have a great day.